Welcome to Sports Cards Are Dope podcast, and this is probably an episode that it is very for a very few select group of people. But you know what? We can educate everybody. That way you know. That way you know. We are talking about backyard baseball or football, whatever you're into. Backyard baseball. Pablo Sanchez, the true GOAT, has a rookie card. Backyard sports, there we go. Venn diagram covered all, has entered the hobby once again. So first off, if you want to take a quick Google search, go for it. But Backyard Sports was a super huge video game. I played it on the computer when I was a kid in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it seemed pretty basic. Like you're using the over buttons and then you're trying to, I don't know if it's a space bar that made the hit. You're trying to hit the ball. It's like about timing and they're running and you're picking your teams. And it's a mixture of like kids, like random, like they created these kids. One being Pablo Sanchez, the GOAT. And then others, they're bringing in players, Nomar Garciaparra, which had an awesome, he had the best, up to the plate little routine. You had Randall Cunningham was a football player, I remember. And so there were a ton of these things. And in backyard sports, it was this thing I got really into. I did not know other people got into it. I think me and maybe my buddy Matt played the game. I didn't know anybody else that played it. And so it's this segment. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. This is just a bit of info, and I think we could look at it as this: how does nostalgia enter the sports card market? There you go. That's how I want to look at this. But we're going to use it in the frame of this one. So this is a little more niche. It's like a Facebook group for Lou Bega. Moment number 5, you with me? Nope, that was too niche of a reference. Okay, but that's the point. This is a niche. I'm just gonna say niche. It's more fun to say niche. Say it with me, niche. So I think it matters because this could be a playbook for other companies from the 90s trying to use their IP, which is intellectual property, to ask collectors to dance with them like they're the least awkward kid in an 8th grade dance. And so first off, I want to give credit where credit is due. This is from, I got a lot of this information, a lot of these facts from an article over at collect.com, CLLCT.com. And this is by Will Stern. So shout out, Will. Thank you. I stole some of your stuff. And I apologize. It's identity theft. Please don't send me to jail. I can't afford that. Okay. So let's start off with this. Why does this matter? So Backyard Sports, it's a famous computer game from the 90s. It is dropping limited edition trading cards and pins featuring these legendary, characters and players that we all love when we were kids. So like Pablo Sanchez, Stephanie Morgan, also bad to the bone. Stephanie Morgan was a great one to pick up. And so each character has a standard version and they have this Chicago edition card and a pin. And I think it's priced around $20 each. So they're selling this IP for it. And I don't know if you guys have, you go check them out on Instagram. I think Backyard Sports on Instagram. I started following him a while back because I think it was Kyle over at King of Cards, great dude, super nice, got a great channel as well, killing it on the short form content and long form content. But Kyle, I saw him post something about Backyard Sports. I think he tagged them, and I was like, oh my gosh, no way, because I was like, that was the first reentrance for me to know that anybody else even played this game. And so there's with this new one they came out with. Go check them out on Instagram. That's what I meant to say. So with this new thing they came out with, there's no official print run that's been announced, but they are going to be in stock. I think an hour after it launched, it was still in stock. So hopefully it is. So the nostalgia is the secret weapon, in my opinion here. This game, it was super peak back then for as millennials growing up, us kids that what was it? We'd run out of N64 games to play. PS2 had just come out, but there's only NBA Street and, Lord of the Rings 2 Towers. There wasn't a ton of options for us back then. And then especially with watching TV, there wasn't near the options we have today with social media stuff. And so the company that owns this is called Playground Productions, and they're trying to bring it back. And I think it can be a really cool playbook for any company that is trying to bring back stuff from the 90s. So these Backyard Sports cards, it's not the first one that's ever come out, so it's not as true rookie. In 97, there was a perforated backyard baseball card sheet, and I actually bid on a bunch of these. There was a Pablo one, and then some other players, and I bid on them on Fanatics Collect about a couple months ago. I lost, but I bid on all of them, so that's pretty cool. I did win. I didn't bring it over here. It's a backyard baseball graded game, the computer game. I've got it. I bought that on that auction. A bunch of backyard stuff going up, and then There was also there was in 2000, they did a Pacific backyard baseball set, which, fun fact, this right here, I'd kept one because I love the game. So I didn't know it was worth anything. I wasn't collecting at the time, but this is a Pablo Sanchez. This card, last time I looked, it goes for like 80 to $100 raw. But it did have a PSA 8 of that. This is not an 8. It's got like a corner issue and then top edge, because I literally found it in my old collection. One of the few cards I found in my old collection. It might be the most valuable card out of my whole 100,000 card collection I found. I went back and got after, I got back into sports cards after like a 25-year hiatus. But a PSA 8 of this card sold for like $500 back in like 2023. So why is this cool? Why do people think it's cool? If you played sports on a computer as a kid, you probably played backyard baseball or backyard football. And these games, it was like before Madden the show just like took everybody's sports game mental. Like these were just like super chill, easy to go. Like I remember I loved the process of it. Like it was just so easy to do. It wasn't hard, but it was hard enough to where you could just dominate every time. And they picked teams, and it felt like you were playing the Sandlot in real life, but then you had some pro players on the teams. And so the characters felt like your friends that you might have actually gone out in the neighborhood and played with. So Pablo, he was obviously the GOAT. And the reason he was so good, and you can see it on the back of his stats, the thing with him, the only thing he was bad at was pitching. He's like, okay, don't pitch, Pablo, unless you need him to. Other than that, the dude was almost full speed, had good hit, good power. Dude was baller at everything. He was a walking cheat code. And so it's like the Barry Bonds, Mike Trout, did the fusion dance. And then, bam, he's a little tiny cartoon dude who with, I think a backwards hat. No, hat's forward. But it was really fun whenever you play and you meet up. It reminded me of meeting up with my friends in the neighborhood and playing a game, except for you don't have to worry about ghost runners. So they had some of the best sports mechanics of that time with that game. And so the timing on hitting, tossing passes, all that stuff, it was like this satisfying, what am I trying to say? It's satisfying. That's what I'm trying to say. It was satisfying to play the game, and it was super chill, easy to do. And I played the game a lot while I was illegally downloading songs and movies and TV shows off of LimeWire. So it was a great way to pass the time when you're downloading that stuff to make your dope mixtape. So whenever, I'm going to tell you this, from playing that game, because I didn't watch a lot of football, I severely overrated Randall Cunningham's actual ability for decades because of this game. All right. It is because he was so good in that game. QB1. I see you, boy. Never forget. Never forget. Okay. So here's a little breakdown. So I want to give you the Pablo Sanchez rookie card power rating. So if Pablo Sanchez was a real life player, how would his rookie card stack up? I'm going to rank it against a couple other iconic rookie cards. So Pablo Sanchez, backyard sports, I'm going to say culture impact. Literally, he was the GOAT of the game. Everybody knows. When I was bidding on all those different cards, he was 10x everybody else's value for those original perforated cards. And so card design, hopefully it looks dope. I haven't seen the release yet, but it depends on, I think whether we're looking at long-term value, depends on the print run and how this company is able to keep their company in the eye of different, young people and people that'll play these video games, even older people like me that are going to go back and play these. Okay. Some comparisons will be 93 SP Authentic, Derek Jeter. All right. Culture Impact is a Yankee legend, Hall of Famer, Arena Club. What's up? See Arena Club. It's one of his companies. They're great. So it's one of the most famous foil rookie cards ever. And I think that's increased because I get Javi Lopez or Johnny Damon. I get their exact same card for a few bucks. I have, I believe, an Arena Club 7 of that card goes for, a couple $100, but the 10 goes for 250,000. It's because it's foil etched. That adds to that legendary status because it's so hard to get a 10 grade on it. So another one comparison, 2003, Topps Chrome, LeBron James, PSA 10, LeBron James. He is the face of basketball for 2 decades. Card design's iconic, doing that little MIDI fader, looks sick, and plus you have refractors you can go with. So I think it's dope. Great choice. And let's go third. Let's give another baseball example. I'll go 1989, King Griffey Jr., Upper Deck. We're talking culture impact. That dude was the coolest human on planet. I say that in the 90s, Michael Jordan was cool, and plus he didn't cuss publicly. Even in Space Jam, he said, "You guys stink," even though Charles Barkley, he used a stronger word than stink. And so even then he wouldn't cuss. Last Dance, he didn't mind cussing, but back then he didn't. So he's like, it was appropriate for us to watch. He was just like the coolest person on planet Earth. All right. Shoes, basketball, everything. And I think that's hard to compete. But if you're finding a cool comparison for baseball, I feel like King Griffey Jr. was the first baseball player that was like hat backwards, necklace, just a cool dude, beautiful swing. My goodness. That card, even though it's like the most graded card in, I think, PSA history, it's still a dope card and it's still iconic. So always in demand. So I'm going to give you a final take. Backyard Sports is doing, in my opinion, Backyard Sports is doing this right. And whoever bought this, if they bought Backyard Sports IP or if they've held on to it, I just want to tell you, good job. I think y'all are making good moves. You're slow to bring in, but if you go to their Instagram, check them out. Like they'll literally, they do meme posts. They do posts where it's like iconic moments in sports, and then they incorporate like their little players in the background, like in the stands or watching from behind. You know, like it's like us. It's like saying like, oh, they were there in that moment, even though they obviously weren't. But it's still a fun thing they're doing. And it's like adding value and it's adding entertainment for people, and not like a come buy our game, come buy our game. They're not just like asking you to buy their stuff from them all the time. They're just incorporating their stuff into things that people already like. And it's like this easy on ramp for people that are interested in it. So I think also they're dropping, right now they're dropping the trading cards and the pins. But I think if the demand keeps up, I think you can see, more shirts, more hats. They dropped some bats, Pablo Sanchez bats. If I'd have known, I would have bought one of those. That would have been dope. But they sold out like that, like really fast. And so I'm assuming the video game is going to make a relaunch. I don't know what platforms it'll be on, but that's my guess. But this is how this, in my opinion, this is a great playbook for how you relaunch a nostalgic brand. Give fans of it something tangible, but also try to attract new people into that market. So I think it's pretty sweet. Their Instagram has commented and replied to stuff that I've posted, where I've like posted the card. I think I posted my Pablo card, and I've talked about them. I've made comments in their stuff and they've replied. So they're doing social media well for a brand, which I don't think a lot of brands do it well, if I'm being honest with you. Most of them are trash at social media. So what do you think? Were you into backyard baseball, football back in the day? What games or nostalgia from the like 90s, early 2000s would you want to see start being brought back? What IP would you like to see start having cards or things like that? Throw that in the comments and the chat. Yeah, I'd love to know. That's my thoughts. But I'd love to know your thoughts. So that's all I got. Sports cards are dope. If you want to go to sportscardsardope.com, and there's a spot where you can input stories or ask questions. We'll throw those on the show. So, hey, thank you guys for being with us. I hope this is good. I know this is pretty niche. It's probably for like literally 2 people. But for those 2 people, thank you for your service. Y'all be good. Have fun. Never stop collecting. Sports cards are dope. So are you. Later.